When was the last time that you took the temperature on your own happiness? Before you give me an answer, I really want you to ponder your response. In the meantime, I want to provide you some factual information which will help you form a more informative answer, particularly when it comes to your professional happiness. According to my friends at the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, a division of the Department of Labor, they found more than 80% of U.S. workers have experienced reporting workplace stress. Meanwhile, approximately half of U.S. workers today believe that workplace stress impacts negatively on their home life. The administration also reports 65% of today's workforce believes that workplace stress will put a significant deterrent on their outlook for the year if it persists moving forward. My friend, I want to introduce you to a woman that is challenging all of us to live audaciously, authentically. Dr. Nicole Bradford has spent more than 2 decades in the field of education, helping our young people realize the true heights of their own potential. She's now a life coach, an author, a motivational speaker, and an entrepreneur. She energizes and equips others to take action and live audaciously authentic lives. She encourages all of us to tap into the wonder of our younger self. She wants to remind us of our younger days when we had a true zest for life and really didn't care about the outcome, our only focus living as authentically as we can. Dr. Bradford has overcome several challenging times in her own life, and she uses those challenges from witnessing domestic violence as a child and witnessing workplace labels and limits being disliked by family members and supervising while young, all in an effort to encourage whatever audience she's speaking to maximize the full heights of their impact, potential, and putting themselves in environments where prosperity and its execution is the main goal. And Dr. Bradford joined me this week to tell me more about how we all can live audaciously authentic lives. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. My friend. Well, Dr. Bradford, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to formally welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to engage in conversation all about your life experience in both your personal and professional life and education, my friend. Great to see you, and thanks for being here, my friend.
Well, I really appreciate this opportunity. I've been looking forward to it all day long, so thank you. It's definitely a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm so delighted to be with you, and I know, Dr. Bradford, that you're main mission in life now is to help people really appreciate the meaning of living a more meaningful and purposeful life, my friend. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about your work, and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
Well, I get so excited when I have the opportunity to talk about maintain the flame. And I'm excited about that because, when we were all younger, we had this excitement and this zest for life. Nothing would hold us back. We had all these dreams and aspirations. But then as we become adults, we tend to kind of conform into the world and we try to fit in and we kind of lose bits and pieces of ourselves depending on the situations that we go through, because we allow those situations to kind of alter who we are and take away from our true purpose and meaning. And so, my company, Maintain the Flame, is just that. It's maintaining your flame that's inside of you, who you truly know that you are, your authentic self, holding on to that great integrity that you have so you can be happy and fulfilled in your life and actually living a life that you desire. And so, what I do is I go out and I speak to organizations, at conferences, at businesses, and I just want people to tap into their old dreams and aspirations that they had, and some things that they may have wanted to pursue. And we just want to reignite that flame and that excitement for life so you can live a life with no regrets.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Bradford. And tell me, what does it mean to you to maximize the potential in life and really seize the opportunity of the moment when it's presented to you? What does that mean to you, my friend?
To maximize the moment,
In life, yeah, what does that mean to you?
for me, that means to live in the moment. So many times in life, we're always looking down the road or, what's going to happen 5 or 10 years from now? Or we're thinking about things that really don't matter the most in this moment. And when we tend to find ourselves in situations like that, then we're not engaged in the moment and we're missing out on precious opportunities to live right where we are, because you're missing out on that happiness, the gift of time, the gift of presence of individuals. Unfortunately, for me, I cared for my parents the last 3 years of their lives. And if you don't live in the moment that you have, you won't appreciate those great memories when they come. So, my thing is maximizing it, making sure that you check in with yourself, you live for today, and forget trying to plan and be prepared for tomorrow because you might miss your blessings that you currently have at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Bradford, I know that you oppress on people the importance of living authentically and living audaciously as well, my friend. So, what does that mean to you to live with authenticity, my friend? What does that mean to you?
For me, it just means authenticity. That means you're going to get Nicole. You're going to get the real Nicole. And that means I have to be true to myself. So when I go into relationships or if I go into the workplace, I need to make sure that I set healthy boundaries so that I am able to be okay with who I am and I'm able to live a fierce and bold and exciting life and be audacious about the life I'm fortunate and blessed to live. But being authentic means that you have to be true to yourself. So many times we're trying to please so many other individuals that we're losing who we truly are. So before we step into those relationships and before we step into those jobs, let's spend time loving on ourselves, get to know who I truly am. And once you figure that out, then you can set up those boundaries so you can be authentic and actually make a great contribution to the relationships and to your workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Dr. Bradford, I know for you personally, your personal story was filled with adversity. I know as a child you witnessed domestic violence, and you've also faced workplace labels and limitations, my friend, and you've also been in supervisory roles. So, what do you think all of those life experiences have taught you about how to really appreciate the precious nature of life, my friend.
I think for me, going through those experiences was a true gift. And it's just for you to learn, number one, that a position does not define you, a title does not define you. I think so many times we get into the work world and we get into these situations and we think, okay, this is who I am now. But those positions may change, things may happen. So you must know who you truly are and love on yourself. And when it comes to those lies, those labels and limitations, you already know who you are. So it doesn't matter what the world tries to tell you who you are or what others may try and label you as. You must get in touch with yourself. You must understand who you truly are and what you stand for, and don't allow the outside distractions to take care of you, take away from you and where you're going. And so for me, growing up with domestic violence, of course, that was very difficult for me. I love both of my parents, and to see them at such great turmoil. But I had to learn over time that, Nicole, you are not the situation that you're currently in. And that's for children that are facing adversity, and that's for adults as well. You can grow from your current situation, you can become stronger, and you can learn. And that's the most important point, I think, for all of it. Learn how to grow in all of your trials and tribulations so you can, number one, help someone else and be better off in the end.
You know, Dr. Bradford, one of the mottos I live my life by is that life is a constant game of learning, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Most definitely. I agree with that.
Absolutely no. I also know, Doctor, that you were a first generation college graduate, and you're the youngest of six children, and you began your career advocating for the disenfranchised youth and setting up programs to ensure their success. So I'm wondering what you would tell your younger self now based on those experiences, and how did those experiences impact you, my friend?
Well, of course, I would definitely tell my younger Nicole, you got this. You're going to encounter some very difficult times, but I want you to know that you are not the circumstance in the situation. So don't get stuck. So many times in life we get stuck because we can't see anything else that's going to come positive out of this situation, or how can I grow, or how can everything work out for me in the end. And it was very difficult for me because I grew up in a very close family. Yes, we did have our dysfunction, as every family may or may not have, but we were close in nature. And so for me to say, I'm going to college and I'm going to pursue my degree. At first, it was okay. Okay, we see you're getting your bachelor's. That's cool. That's fine. Then your master's. Okay, you need to pump the brakes. You're doing a little bit too much. But then your doctoral degree. And sometimes people look at that and think and become a little intimidated because they assume that you think you're better and all you want is a different way of life. And so the advice that I would give, going through the dysfunction and growing up being the first generation college graduate of my family, is that you get an opportunity to reach back and help someone else. You get an opportunity to dispel all the myths that are out there and all of the lies that people may say, oh, well, if you go to college, X, Y, and Z may happen, because you actually have that experience and you get to break that generational curse and move forward so you can be able to move and provide that love and support for your family. I am blessed to say that I have three amazing children. My daughter is a graduate of Hampton University and she's a first grade teacher. My son just completed his bachelor's degree and he's working on his master's. He'll be a football player. And my baby is in her junior year at the University of Texas. So when you take that step and that leap of faith, you put your faith and your trust in Lord Jesus Christ and you keep moving forward, things can truly move in your favor.
Yeah, well, Dr. Bradford, I'll give you a chance to take a victory lap as a proud mom, okay?
Yes, why, thank you.
Absolutely. And, Dr. Bradford, I also wanted to talk to you about the importance, rather, of internal expectations because, Doctor, I'm going to share just a little bit about myself. So anyone that listens or watches my podcast knows that at the age of 9, doctor, I was told by a doctor that I wouldn't be able to walk for the duration of my life because of the severity of my cerebral palsy. And I was born 3 months premature, and I wasn't supposed to live past 3.5, and I'm now 35. So
Oh.
every day I wake up, doctor, for me is a blessing, and I do that because I strongly believe in the power of internal motivation and self-reflection. So I'm curious to ask you about the importance of internal motivation and really setting your own foundational level of expectations. How important do you think that is?
That is very, very important. And hats off to you for continuing to push on and believe and understand the power that you have. But for me, it wasn't very easy at the beginning because that internal motivation was not there, to tell you the truth. Growing up in a dysfunctional household, hearing negative things about myself, and that was very hard for me because at sometimes I would believe the things that I was being told. But I was able to have a growth mindset. I was able to turn that and have a shift in my mindset. And number one, I believe it's because of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But also, I was able to see other things and I was exposed to other people, and those individuals would pour into me. And I was able to see that, things can change and there is a possibility. And so that's why I have committed my life to helping the underserved and the disenfranchised and the overlooked so they will not get stuck and they won't believe the lies, the labels, and the limitations that are placed on them by society. Because it doesn't matter what it looks like and it doesn't matter what other people say about you. What's important is what you believe about yourself. And so those positive affirmations, we can't just say those. We have to put it into action, and we must believe those affirmations, but most importantly, believe in our ability to overcome so we can help someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Dr. Bradford, I'm also curious to revisit the idea of reigniting the flame in life. Also often in life, we're sort of caught up in what I call the hamster wheel of life, just going through the motions of the things that we have to do. So I'm curious for anyone that's going through a midlife transition or has experienced loss or looking for a new direction in their life, what is the best piece of advice you would give them in terms of reigniting their flame and really finding their personal identity again?
I would say that you're going to have to take a huge step back and just reconnect with yourself and figure out what is important to you at this moment and what are some things that you've always aspired to do, some priorities that were important to you. Because life is not going to be fair for any of us, and it can be very tough at times. I know for me, unfortunately, I'm the youngest of six. My sister, that was number five, she passed away unexpectedly in a car accident at the age of 48 in 2018. In 2019, I lost my favorite uncle. In 2021, I lost my dad. In 2020, and 20, well, shortly thereafter, 10 months later, I lost my mother. And then in 2023, I was told, hey, by the way, you have endometrial cancer. And you're talking back to back to back. And, it's easy to just dig that hole and want to go down in that hole and say, I can't. It's too much. This is unbearable. But you must maintain your flame. And so I've come up with an 8 word. I mean, it's maintain is a word, and it's just 8 strategies that you can apply to your life. And the M stands for making sure you have a positive mindset. So when you're going through your toughest time, I know that it's difficult to see beyond where you are, but spend time doing something you enjoy. Journaling, maybe reading the Bible, reflecting, but you must shift your mindset and find the good in every day. Despite what you're going through, there's always something good in each and every day you're allowed to see. The next one is A, take action towards your goals and aspirations. Just even if it's baby steps, that's something. Get up every day and at least do one thing that's going to bring you closer to your goal or your aspiration. The next letter is going to be N. You must nurture yourself. Take time to do something you enjoy. Go on a walk. visit nature, help someone else out. Whatever it is that brings peace and joy to your soul, that's what you need to do. The next letter is T. Take your time. Time is precious. Live in the moment and be very tenacious about the life that you want to live. Then the next letter is A, authenticity. Make sure that you are living your life to the fullest and you're living life on your terms based on you being the authentic person that you want to be. The next letter would be I. Hold on to your integrity. In a world when any and everything goes, make sure that you are able to stand up for what's right and make sure that you're not willing to compromise your most important values. And last but not least, the letter N. Come up with your non negotiables, establish healthy boundaries so you can live a life that you won't have any regrets.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that information, and I have to tell you, you're certainly a beacon of resilience, Doctor, and I commend you for getting through those adverse times in your life. And I also know, Doctor, that you've spent so many years of your life in the field of education and multiple roles, including being a principal and being an assistant principal and at all different levels of education. So I'm curious to ask you about assessing sort of the state of our educational system today, and what's your greatest hope for young people as they begin to plan their futures, my friend?
My greatest hope for our children is that they continue to dream and to continue to have an opportunity to be a child. When you say look at our education system, it's frightening. Of course, we have the safety and security aspect. Our children need to feel safe in the buildings. Our educators need to feel safe in the building. There's a lot in education. So I just say to parents, especially as a first generation student, please take time to check in with your students. Make sure that you are understanding what they're dealing with. Give them a safe space to vent and be there to advocate for your children. There's no one that's going to advocate for your babies more than you. So make sure you show up and you support them and you advocate for those young people. And for teachers, they're going through so much. It's very difficult being a teacher nowadays. So if there's any way that you can support and advocate for them to get paid more, to help them in the classrooms, because they have so many distractions from the cell phones to the expectations and the curriculum, and they're doing the very best that they can to educate our students. So we need to make sure that we're supporting our teachers. But my hope and my dream for this children in the future is to believe in their ability to be successful in life. Take advantage of this free education. It's so hard with all of the peer pressure and social media that's out there, but just to make sure that you're getting a quality education. And that's where we need the support and the backing of our parents to ensure that equity and excellence is occurring in every single classroom in the building.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Bradford, I wonder what you've learned about the resilience of our young people as we continue to move forward. What is your greatest lesson you think you've learned about the resilience of young people as they travel through the education system?
I think that our young people are some of the strongest individuals because, think back. I was born in 74, so the world did not look like the way that it looks today. No cell phone and all of these gadgets and all of the wonderful things that are out there. And I always think and sympathize with our students because they have so many distractions, and it's very, very difficult to be a teenager nowadays. We have the bullying on the internet, we have the bullying that's going on in person, and it's just out of hand because so many people are fighting so hard to fit in. We may have had issues when we were growing up, but someone didn't take a video of us and allow that video to live on until eternity. So our children are resilient because they continue to push forward. They continue to try, and they have the wherewithal not to give up. So I just hats off to our students and the hard work and time that they put in, and also to the parents that are out there that give them their support because they really need your support, especially right now in our society.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Bradford, I'm also curious to ask you whether you think empathy can be a strong trait in leadership. So, how important do you think empathy is when we talk about leadership, my friend?
Oh, you must be empathetic at all times because you never know what people are going through. And as an administrator of my campus, that's one thing I always wanted to send the message to my teachers because when those babies hit our front doors, you don't know that there are kids that didn't eat last night. There are kids that had to sleep in their cars. There are kids that had to witness abuse. And so we need to be empathetic to our children. We still have strong expectations because we want them to be successful. We want to give them the greatest education that we can, but we need to be there to listen. We need to understand them and support them through the process. But empathy is very important for all of us, especially as adults. And the same goes for our teachers. You're humans first. You have your families, you have your own personal situations, and then you come in the building and you're dealing with at least a minimum of 100 students a day where you're trying to pour into them. So making sure that you take time for your staff members and for your family members, make sure that people feel that they are seen and they are heard when they interact with you.
Yeah, and Dr. Bradford, one of the things that I look at in life, and one of my main missions in life is optimizing what I call social capital, because I believe that building relationships is really at the heartbeat of making societal progress, my friend. So tell me, what do you think it takes to build meaningful and trustworthy relationships? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I would say for meaningful and trustworthy relationships is showing up. We can always talk a good game. It sounds great, but people see your actions. So taking time to be very intentional with those relationships. So checking in on people. You never know what they're going through. You never know what a kind word can do and to help someone else. So make sure that you're learning more about the other individual. And when you're having those relationships and those conversations, you are listening more than you're speaking. So you're checking in on them. You're talking about the sports. You're checking in and asking about their family members, whatever it is, but you're building that relationship. You're being intentional. You're going out of your way to connect. But more than the words, your actions are present and they know that you truly care.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Bradford, I'm curious to ask you about what does it mean to you to optimize compassion as a leader? We talked about empathy earlier, but I also wanted to give you the floor to talk about optimizing compassion as a leader because I believe that's equally as important. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, I definitely agree. And we should have compassion all the time in our, not only in our workplace, in our relationships, but in our society as a whole. We have so many individuals. We know right now it's a tough time for everyone. And being someone that can be compassionate, that can be there to show up and to help someone else, it can truly make a difference. So when you're in work, your workspace, making sure that you're compassionate towards the things that people are going through, that you're making time to check on them, and that compassion goes a long way. But in our society as a whole, there are individuals without families. There are individuals that may have not had anyone to check on them for days, weeks, months. And you can be that individual that makes that link and that connection to let them know that they do matter. But right now, with so much pain and so much going on in our communities, and you might see a rise in negative things that are action that are going on. Take time to be that positive force, someone that sees the good in the situation and encourages other people so that we can help make this place better for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have one more education question for you, and it's for me, this one is a personal one because I went through the educational system with a disability, my friend, and I don't have to tell you that oftentimes students with disabilities are disproportionately not supported the way that they sure should be all the time. So we're talking about better supporting individuals with disabilities as they go through the education system and supporting their networks as well because as I'm sure you know, if you have a student with a disability, it takes an army to make sure that they get through the educational system in one piece. So I'd be curious to give you the floor to talk about the importance of strengthening the supports for individuals or students with disabilities as they walk through the educational system.
Yes. Well, I will say when I first began, when I transitioned into the K-12 area working in public schools, I actually was certified in special education resource teacher. So I understand the dynamics and how difficult it is for those individuals that have to walk through that process. But it's very important that we have more and more advocates that are signing up to volunteer to come in and work with the students because it helps them to feel seen and to feel that their concerns are important. Sitting in with them during their art meetings and when they have to go through the IEPs, because we're making sure that we're holding everyone in the process accountable so that the students are receiving the services and the support and resources that they need. So with special education, we definitely need individuals that's going to come in, not only have a heart for students as the workers that are going to be committed to be there every day to keep the students encouraged, because at times they do get discouraged and it becomes very difficult. But trying to identify not only adult advocates that's going to show up and support them, but student advocates as well. Student volunteers that are willing to come into the classroom because it feels good to have their peers around them and their peers to support them during that time. So making sure that we're there to provide the resources and support can definitely make a difference in the life of someone that may have disabilities that's going through the education system. And they should not be overlooked just because of the class or the area that they're in, but they need more advocates to stand up and speak out for their needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Bradford, I also wanted to get your thoughts on the concept of the correlation between popularity and self-esteem and how that's interconnected to our self-image. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I say it goes back to that maintain the flame. It's the same when we were younger. I always say that even in my new book that I wrote, My Soul is Not for Sale. When you transition to the adult world, you're still dealing with the L kids. And for me, that stands for little kids in big bodies. And those are the same individuals that did not deal with their childhood trauma and they're bringing it into relationships or they're bringing it into the workplace. And so that's where when we were young, we wanted to be with the popular group. Some people wanted to fit in, others did not. And it's the same thing as adults. If you don't fit in with this social class or you don't live in this particular neighborhood and you don't drive this particular car, then you're not as popular or you're not seen in a greater positive light than the others. And you just have to understand that materialistic things, the material items, does not define who you are. You can have a ginormous house, but there is no love in that home. So I'd much rather have a smaller home in a place where I know that I'm loved, I'm protected, and I'm wanted. So I think just as we were younger, we may wanted to fit in and we may wanted to have those friends. And when we didn't, we looked at ourselves and thought, well, this says something about who I am. But as we transition as an adult, and now that we know better, we need to educate our children and other younger people to understand that it does not define who you are. And so as adults, we need to still have that same mindset. It doesn't matter the neighborhood that I live in. It doesn't matter the house or the car that I drive. What matters is at the end of the day, am I a good human being that has compassion, empathy, and love for the individuals around me?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you also work with organizations to help them transform their organizational culture, Dr. Bradford. So tell me, what do you think is the key to forming a great organizational culture?
I believe the key to a great organizational culture is having a leader that's in tune and in touch with the staff. Someone that is not so, because sometimes in leadership, we have individuals that's so disconnected, they really don't understand what people need to thrive. And just like you like for people to say good morning to you, just like you like to have a conversation with individuals, all of the staff members do too. So having a servant leader that has a heart and a mind for others, to see people where they are, to give people a voice and treat people like human beings makes a difference in the environment. Not just those environments where we put up these wonderful mission statements and, oh, we love diversity and we are strong supporters, but it sounds great on paper, but where is the action behind it? And so you can transform an environment when you have an open space, a place where people feel supported and they can advocate and speak up for their needs without being having punitive damages assessed to them for speaking up and speaking out.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, Dr. Bradford, I just, outside of hosting this podcast, I also talk to organizations about the positive benefits of hiring folks with disabilities. And one of the first things I always tell them is that it's one thing to put a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement at the end of a job posting, but it's another thing to act on it, right? So how do you think we can change the attitudes of decision makers of corporations or businesses to give individuals with disabilities a better shot at gainful employment? What are your thoughts there?
My thoughts would be just to take a look around and to consider everyone, because I think in all of our environments, yes, you did talk about the diversity and equity. I think it should be reflective of our community and our society that we live in. And that includes individuals with disabilities. I think it's very unfortunate because they too need to be able to make a way of life. And they also want to get out and connect with other individuals. And I think instead of looking at a person merely by their appearance, that it's setting you up for failure because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to have an environment that is truly inclusive of all the individuals. And everyone deserves to have an opportunity to be trusted and an opportunity to thrive. So just looking at the work environment and making sure that it's reflective of the community and society that we live in, I think can truly make a difference.
Yeah, and I know, Dr. Bradford, you're a transformational public speaker. So tell me, what's the best part for you connecting with an audience, my friend? And what do you think makes a great public speaker? What qualities do you think they have to have?
I think a great public speaker is someone that is not going to put you to sleep. And I'm not saying you have to get up there and sing and dance and all of that. Of course, I have tons of energy, but I just think it's someone that can relate to the audience. Sometimes when we all in college or in school, we remember those teachers or those professors that would just come in, plop down and have the book. And today we're going to, what did you get out of that? You didn't remember what they said. You left the class, you left wherever you were, and you went on about your way. But I believe a good public speaker is someone that can have you to think. I want to make sure that you are thinking about the things that I am placing before you. I can connect with you, and most importantly, be able to relate with you by connecting with the stories and my experiences. I'm truly a transparent individual. I believe that God allows us to go through things. It's not just for Nicole. Our trials and tribulations are to help someone else. And so I believe if you have someone that's full of energy, someone that's going to be passionate, someone that will make you think, not just there to entertain you, but someone that's going to leave you with food for thought when you walk out of that room, and someone that's going to connect with you and your experiences so that you can begin to shift your mindset about you and your future.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doctor, I've got two questions left for you. And the first of those two questions is this. I'm wondering if people pick up your book and read it, and they take some time to reflect after they've read it, what's the top three things you want them to get out of the book after they've read it, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I would say the top three things that I hope that they're able to take away from the book is number one, I'm not alone. It's okay to be different, and you don't always have to force yourself or try to fight to fit in. It's important to hold on to your integrity. So, number one, you're not alone, and it's okay to be different. Number two, a shift in your mindset to begin to open your eyes and see things differently. And the last one is it's important to come up with your non-negotiables, set up healthy boundaries so you can live a life of no regrets.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Doctor, my final question this afternoon has to do with your own personal victory lap. I believe that we're all given the opportunity for a successful life, and no matter what sort of circumstances we're born into, the level of success of that victory lap is determined by, internal motivation to succeed. As you mentioned earlier, sometimes it takes others longer to realize that. But at the end of the day, I think, one of the other sayings I live my life by is that everyone's portrait of success is different, my friend, and that inclusion, my friend, is the gateway to independence. So I'm curious to ask you, if I was to throw you, Doctor, a lifetime achievement party, and I asked your dearest friend in the world to give you a toast at your lifetime achievement party, what is
I would say my legacy for me, I want it to be for someone that loved hard and fought for the needs of others. All of my life, I've been considered as an underdog. I've been different, but I think that makes me and who I am today. And so I just want to be known for someone that fought for the needs of the underserved and the overlooked. And I want to be known for someone that gave 190% to love others and see the positive in them and advocate for their needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, doctors, people want to get connected with you. What's the best way they can do that?
Well, they can reach me at my website at www.maintaintheflame.net.
Fabulous. Well, doctor, as I told you at the onset of our conversation, I find you to be a fascinating person, my friend. You're really making a lifetime of difference, and I want to thank you for engaging in conversation. It's most appreciated.
Likewise, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a joy and an honor to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, well, now that we know each other exists in the world, Doctor, I look forward to staying connected, and I want to thank you for your time, my friend.
Thank you.